biscuit. Taste the goodness of the biscuit.
As a people, we are addicted to music. Yeah. Yeah. The white boy put it in his movie background. We live it. We do two things in America. We ain't got no money, we got money. We breathe, we do music 24/7. So it has to come to a point where it's a positive force. Music is vibration. Music is spirit. Music is rhythm. The essence of life is what we're talking about when you talk about music. You can't do anything without it. When your music stops, you're through. Okay? That's how much we've incorporated into our cultural consciousness collectively. This tremendous similarity of the African in Africa and the African in America. They do music.
This music is all a part of another tomorrow, another kind of language. Speaking things of nature, naturalness, the way it should be. Speaking things of blackness, about the void, the endless void, the bottomless pit surrounding you.
A better day is breaking. The galaxies are waiting. The planet Earth's awakening.
And while I got you on the phone, let me just say this. Good people only have to prove that they are good people to people who are intimidated by their good. See, a lot of people cannot fathom that others live genuine, authentic lives as themselves. Not one person on the internet, not one person in another space. Like, you know, they're genuinely themselves, okay? And so people will create a narrative about you to accommodate their insecurities because you're too good to be true. There's no way you're this good. And not you trying to prove that you're good by overcommitting yourself, overextending yourself. Trying to prove that you're good to people who already committed to not believing that you're good. Get off my phone.
Do you want to spin like me? Try Spindrift that is made with real fruit juice.
Don't make me mad. They need to do things to make you feel small. They need to do things to make you feel like you're delusional, like something is wrong. You're a good person. You have nothing to prove. You got the wrong people around you. Stop being friends with people who are trying to humble you.
Taste the honey sauce. Taste the goodness of the biscuit with the honey sauce.
Is it okay to be racist towards white people?
I don't think you can be racist towards white people.
What do you mean by that?
Racism was invented by white people.
Like, let's say they made a law today that like white people aren't allowed in restaurants. Do you think then racism could exist?
I think that would be called a prejudice. I don't think that'd be racism.
Really?
Yeah.
What is racism?
Racism is a made-up social structure that exploits people based on their race.
So based on that definition, if you outlaw certain races from doing something, wouldn't that be racism then?
You can't take it out of historical context. So historically, there's been one race that has more power in the system. If white people were a minority and they had a history of being exploited, and globally it seems like there's a lot of white privilege and whiteness controlling racism.
You know what I'm saying? They bring guns in like through the trains. You know what I'm saying? Like the freight trains or whatever. And like mysteriously, every time they come through, the guns get stolen off the trains. Now they on the news. All these army guns, they on the streets. We're looking for them. They not looking for them because they know they tip somebody off to get them. You know what I'm saying? So if y'all got crates of guns coming through this city, and it's got to make certain stops, how do these people know that it's guns on here and they making these stops? So you know what I'm saying? They doing what they can to put them guns out there. They know what they doing.
I mean, for what I hear, the cops drop off boxes of guns in the hood. You know what I'm saying?
Really?
Yeah, that's what I hear. Yeah, they, you know, it's a whole setup. Like, they have access to these guns so easily. And I do think, you know, I wouldn't put it past the cops to be dropping off boxes.
Yeah, I mean, you know, definitely what's happening in Jamaica. I mean, if you talk about your heritage, you know, with all the guns in Jamaica and then how the gangs are tied to the political parties and everything else like that, it almost mimics what's happening over there.
Yeah, definitely. And if, you know, the cops have to arrest a certain amount of people. They have quotas that they have to meet. So why wouldn't they?
We're taking things that are, genetically modified organisms, and
These are the kind of guys you like to smack in the ass.
Proceeded. 3, 2, 1. Ignition. Right away, Houston. That's your good.
Red Bull jump. This is definite proof that everyone watching is an idiot. Brad, this is your Red Bull jump, right? What is wrong with what you're looking?
Oh, I remember watching this.
Yeah. What's wrong with what you're looking? What's wrong with the Earth? Isn't the Earth supposed to be 80% water? Go to Red Bull jump. You're telling me all of Earth is New Mexico? The Earth is 100% landmass. There's no oceans.
Why
the curve is on the wrong way.
Why is that the wrong way?
It's concave. Because look, it's going to distort into level, which it is, Earth's flat. But look at this. It's going to correct the lens. It's a fisheye lens. Look, look, look. Look, now the Earth is round because it's a fisheye. No, millions of people didn't see this because it's a fisheye. You know a fisheye can distort?
Right.
Right? Tell me it's not a fisheye. And number two, why the is all of Earth New Mexico? There's not even a pond. There's supposed to be oceans, bro. It's all landmass. Like, go to the beginning of the video.
Wow.
Well, well, well. It looks like we've solved the mystery of the Antarctica bloodfalls. It turns out that it actually is blood. Now, it took them 100 years to figure out that the Taylor Glacier gets its red color from nanospheres of iron that is deposited into the water. And once that iron hits the oxygen, it turns red. And then in the article, they go on to say that the ancient microbes were 1/100th of the size of human red blood cells. Now, I think it was pretty weird that they used the red blood cell example to describe the size of the iron deposits. It looks to me as if this is another example of the truth being set in plain sight. The blood falls arise when the ice over the subglacial ecosystem over here melts. Now, here's what I think. I think that the subglacial ecosystem is a part of the deceased Leviathan that people have been talking about all over TikTok and have been showing on Google Earth. I think that there's a giant beast that died underneath or just on top of Antarctica, and then once it froze over, it held all that blood in place. And just in case you forgot, the reason why blood turns red is because the iron meets the oxygen and combines to form a red color. So whatever creature those blood falls were made out of, it had to have been huge. Perhaps it was made by the Leviathan, and maybe that creature isn't guarding this gate anymore. Or maybe it was another one of the creatures that is supposed to be in between these other ice wall gates. And, there's also that anomaly in the Atlantic Ocean. I think that has something to do with all this information that has been coming out lately as well.
So if it wasn't for all the science books and Charles Darwin's silly little theories, then would we really even believe in evolution? Like, if you actually look at all of these fossils, for some even hundreds of millions of years back, they've been the same. Horseshoe crabs, they've been around since the dinosaurs. But let me not even get into the topic of the dinosaurs. Actually, I changed my mind. I think we're going to talk about the T-Rex. Here's the thing about the T-Rex. They've only found like 4 fragments of the entire skeleton, 4 small bone fragments, a few pieces of the skull and jaw, and then pieces of the tail. Now, how can you determine that the T-Rex looks like what we're shown in the museums if you've only found 3 or 4 bone fragments? Does that make any sense? It's an entire mythical reconstruction. The terrible lizard could just be a completely made-up story. But of course, I have no idea what I'm talking about. And this video was for entertainment purposes only, just like the movie Jurassic Park.
We just shoot them right into the vein.
What can you tell us about this emerging term called turbo cancer? Yeah, so this is a really important question. So by turbo cancer, we mean cancers that are turbocharged. So these are cancers that are occurring in young people. Generally, cancer occurs in the more elderly, but we're seeing an explosion both in the US, in the UK, in Japan, in cancers between the ages of 14 and 44, a rapid increase. We're also seeing patients present at a late stage, stage 3 or stage 4. So these are patients presenting late, and then patients presenting with very aggressive cancer. And so there's no question that there's been a change in the characteristics of cancer. And there seems to be an association, it's still controversial, between vaccination, particularly the boosters, and the development of turbo cancer.
Well, thank you so much. You can learn more and find out about the full set of resources available for cancer care at the flccc.net. Co-founder and Chief Scientific Officer for the FLCCC Alliance, Dr. Paul Merrick, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Injecting them in little kids' arms.
Do not eat the chicken sandwiches from Walmart. Not eat the chicken sandwiches from Walmart.
They're trying to turn everybody into zombies.
Listen to this. The spike protein in the vaccines, because it can actually transfer the blood-brain barrier, what it causes once it's in your brain is neuroinflammation. Now, what happens when we have neuroinflammation is that the hippocampus, which is our autobiographical memory center, what tells you that you are you because it's based on all of your experiences from the time that you were born, stops producing nerve cells. When it stops producing these new nerve cells, is that the hippocampus then has to decide to erase your memories in order to store new memories. So we're losing our personality, our individuality, our ability to think because of this process. And you might have seen this in people where suddenly they appear very different and you can't even talk to them rationally about things. They are like, the narrative is the narrative and it's the truth, right? Do you think this was just, oh, shame, this happened, we didn't know?
Oops, accident.
I don't think so.
The child of a narcissistic parent learns early that love is conditional. They quickly understand they'll only be loved for what they do, not who they are. They sense their parent cannot meet their emotional needs, so they learn to perform, excelling in sports, academics, or becoming their parents' confidant and emotional support. The child abandons their true self, morphing into whatever version their highly critical and opinionated parent deems worthy. Without a genuine sense of self, they become addicted to external validation. This creates a lifetime pattern of people-pleasing and self-betrayal. Their relationships turn transactional, always based on what they can provide for others. Deep within lies a profound sense of betrayal. They were loved, yes, but unconsciously used by the most significant person in their world. The anxiety, anger, and pain remain buried until they're finally ready to acknowledge these wounds.
The digital identity is not just a passport that you will have on your iPhone in a digital form. It entails just about everything the government would like to know about you. And yesterday in the Dutch media, we saw a perfect example of what it could entail in the near future. We had the CEO of one of the largest Dutch banks say, "Why don't we start with a personal carbon credit?"
Oh.
a carbon wallet, she called it actually.
Yeah.
So right in line with the plans that the World Economic Forum people have for us. And she said it in a way that was particularly funny. She said, well, if everyone gets an individual personal carbon credit, why don't we make it so that rich people who, for example, want to go on holiday a little too often can buy personal carbon credit from other people who, for example, can't afford buying plane tickets or eating meat too often. So we can that way swap it out.
The thing that's really suspicious with Brittany Murphy's death is she had the same coroner as Kim Porter. His name was Ed Winters, and he also did Paul Walker's, Whitney Houston's, Tom Petty's, and Michael Jackson's autopsies. He ended up dying before Kim Porter's second autopsy.
The coroner did?
The coroner died between Kim Porter's
That's
first and second autopsies.
super weird.
Yeah, it's super, super weird.
Let's play a game. I'm gonna name off some random people and you tell me how many random coincidences there are. So this is Dmitry Petronov. Apparently he created a plasma battery that powered his 2-story house for 16 months. In 2010, he went to a bakery and that's the last time the world ever saw him. Coincidentally, this is Zachary Warfield. He was also working on a plasma battery. He even met with Dmitry a couple of times to exchange notes. He died in a crazy boating accident. Stefan Marinov was the leader of the European Free Energy Movement. Apparently they made a ton of headway. They had a breakthrough but he fell out of a window. What? Oh, by the way, if you've already seen this video, it's because I posted one and it got pulled down for community guidelines. I'm appealing it. It might come back up, but I figured I'd make it again. John Mullen was a nuclear physicist that worked with one of the largest military contractors in the world. He discovered something big, but then died of arsenic poisoning. But don't worry, his girlfriend was the suspect. They actually found her dead in her apartment as well. Well, that's the end of that. No other suspects. Okay, case closed. This is Eugene Malov. He's an expert physicist that claimed to have a prototype of a free energy device that utilized cold fusion. You're never going to believe this. The day before he was going to release this to the public, he was beaten to death, and nobody can find his research. Ari DeGo also worked on a free energy device and actually patented his technology. He was headed to the airport to go meet some investors, but he never made his flight. They found him dead in his car. What?
Insane. So many people in the mainstream media have said Pizzagate is a conspiracy theory. Pizzagate has been debunked. It has not been debunked. If it's been debunked, explain the code words. No one to this day, including John Podesta himself, can explain the code words in his emails.
Hey, John Podesta, can you please explain why you have children rented for entertainment for your adult hot tub parties? No one has ever explained why John Podesta has literal pedophile and cannibalism paintings all over his office and his home. Tony Podesta too. And then you look into the spirit cooking dinners, and you look into Marina Abramovic, who's the one that was conducting the spirit cooking dinners. Why are they going to spirit cooking dinners? Why are they sacrificing chickens to Moloch in their backyard? This isn't my words, this is their words. This is in their emails.
I'd be willing to debate anyone who thinks that Pizzagate has been debunked.
You asked me when how am I getting additional briefings? That was the first and last time I talked.
So October 9th is the last time you have heard from the FBI at all?
Yes.
You have not got an update on the investigation to your personal email?
That is correct.
In the moonlight, my honey, I know with the dawn that you will be gone, but tonight you belong to me. Way down.
Rory Johnson was said to have built a car motor that utilized cold fusion and can get over 500 horsepower. The U.S. Department of Energy put a restraining order on his technology so that he could not release it. He was super healthy, but I guess he mysteriously died? Mark Tomian also patented some zero-point energy systems. He developed a prototype, but died. And again, his research is missing. Stan Myers was said to have built a car that ran on water. He was meeting with 2 investors at lunch when he suddenly died. His last words were, "I have been poisoned." Nikola Tesla was obsessed with discovering free energy. The poorest people in the world. It would bring everybody up. And it was said, on a small scale, he proved it. So he went to his funder to ask for more money, and his funder pulled the funding. This was JP Morgan. Now, I know this is just a coincidence. It has nothing to do with the fact that he owned General Electric, he owned freaking copper mines, rubber mills, everything within the fossil fuel system he had a piece of. Oh, by the way, Tesla was blacklisted from the industry. Nobody would fund him. He died penniless, but the government came in after he died and confiscated all of his research. There were 80 boxes. When it was deemed that it should be given to his nephew, only 60 boxes were given. What happened to the boxes? I'm sure they just consolidated them. But the elites wouldn't suppress technology that would benefit all people, right? Because we're trying to advance as a society, not, make every single ounce of profit we can. Anyways, crazy coincidences, the world is wide.
And Prince had on that outfit that was in the Kiss video, where he had the little short shirt and the leather jacket and the buttons and stuff. He had that outfit on, a little gold chain around his waist. A waistlet, I think. He had on the waistlet. And he was like, "Hey, y'all want to play some basketball?" He was like, "What the you want to play some basketball?" And it was like, "All right, let's play." And my brother was, it was Prince, a dude named Mickey Free that used to hang out there. And they used to all kind of...
Is there a great difference between the top of the world and the bottom of the world?
There is. Now, the North Pole is the center of an ocean 10,000 feet deep. The South Pole, the center of a plateau, 10,000 feet high. The North Polar Sea is surrounded by continents that are slightly frozen. The Antarctic continent is surrounded by a belt of ice, frozen seas of at least 1,200 miles thick. Now, the South is a plateau. It gets, in some places, 14,000 feet up. I've been over areas about 13,000. And it's a little bit chilly up there. So there's that big difference between the top and bottom of the world. The North really isn't very cold up there on the Arctic Ocean.
Not compared to the South. Admiral Byrd, we often hear it said that our young Americans now aren't as hardy as their forefathers. Do you think that Americans do measure up to the standards, the physical standards and morale standards of the past?
This here is one of the most groundbreaking creature videos I've ever seen, and it was just posted on October 6th, 2024. It wasn't specified which country it comes from, but the caption seems to be in Arabic. And we do know the men were in a very remote area when they ran into these strange crawler creatures. Their vehicle is stuck in the dirt, preventing them from fleeing from these strange beings. They run around frantic, deeply disturbed by what they're encountering. The creatures move towards the vehicle, to which the driver gets up and runs away. Zooming in on these things, they're pale and excessively skinny, too skinny to be people. And 2 of them seem to be a light reddish or pinkish color, and the other 2 are just pale white, and they crawl around oddly. After turning the camera off, the men were able to get the vehicle unstuck and they escaped with their lives. But the question we're left with is, what were those things? Commenters mentioned the rake and pale crawlers, as well as skinwalkers. Allegedly, pale crawlers used to live in tunnel systems underground.
Gates' business strategies came under fire in 1998 when the United States Department of Justice sued Microsoft for antitrust violations.
Day 3 of the videotape deposition of Bill Gates on September.
During the 18-month trial, Gates gave hours of videotape testimony.
Non-Microsoft browsers that you were concerned about in January of 1996. Month. Sorry. And what about it? What non-Microsoft browsers were you concerned about in January of 1996? I don't know what you mean concerned. What is it about the word concern that you don't understand?
The Justice Department has charged Microsoft with engaging in anti-competitive and exclusionary practices designed to maintain its monopoly in personal computer operating systems.
In a move to overshadow the negative press, Gates invested $100 million to set up the Bill and
How'd you like to smack in the ass?
I'm gonna 3D print your vagina with my 3D printer. I'm gonna